It's movie night at the Silver 8 Cinema. I'm wearing a cowboy hat. Tonight we have Tombstone and Bone Tomahawk. Kurt Russell goes from gunslinger to something way more savage. But first... In the heart of the Arizona Territory, the silver rush is booming, and so is the violence.
Who is he?
That's Wyatt Earp. Better name for himself as a peace officer. I heard of you. I'm retired.
You must be Doc Holliday. Are you retired too?
Not me. I'm in my prime.
Tombstone was supposed to be Wyatt Earp's fresh start, a place to settle down, make a fortune, and leave the law behind. But when a ruthless gang known as the Cowboys turns the town into a slaughterhouse, the badge he swore off starts calling him back. With his brothers by his side and a sharp-tongued gambler named Doc Holliday at his back, Earp faces a brutal choice: walk away or wage war. Loyalties will be tested, blood will be spilled, and the fight for Tombstone will become a battle for the soul of the frontier. Justice is coming.
I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
George P. Cosmatos was a Greek-Italian director known for his polished, no-nonsense style on big-budget action films. He made his mark with hits like Rambo, First Blood Part 2, and Cobra, blending intensity with sleek visuals. He wasn't flashy, but studios trusted him to get the job done, especially when chaos loomed around the corner, but more on that later. Kurt Russell stars as Wyatt Earp, the reluctant lawman drawn back into a fight for justice when the town of Tombstone turns bloody. At the time, Russell was already a genre favorite with cult hits like Escape from New York under his belt, and he'd go on to grow his mustache even wilder in The Hateful Eight. He was so connected to the role that he later named his son Wyatt. Now that's commitment to character. So Kurt, how was it with Val?
If you're asking me if it was great working with Val Kilmer, who played Doc Holliday on Tombstone, the answer is absolutely. In those days, especially, when you were working with people, you'd get them, sometimes at the end of the show, you get gifts or trade gifts. It's not mandatory. It's not something that, you've got to do or that they've got to do. And so I asked my driver to see if he could get a hold of Val's holster and gun and hat and chair with his name on the back, take a picture, and then in that picture I wanted to have this thing. It's the end of the show and it's been a battle and we've all, gotten through it very well. And I give Val this present and he looks at me and he turns to his driver and he says, give it to me. Because what I had gotten Val was a plot at Boot Hill. What Val had gotten me was an acre of land overlooking Boot Hill. Doc Holliday is all about death. But Wyatt's all about life. It's in that last scene. Just looked at each other and went, well, I guess that pretty much says it all.
Val Kilmer stars as Doc Holliday, the sickly gambler with a death wish and a razor-sharp tongue. Kilmer had built early fame with Top Gun, where he played Iceman, and would later take on the cape and cowl in Batman Forever. His hypnotic performance as Holliday stole the film, with much of his character's quotable dialogue like,
I'm your huckleberry.
delivered in a whispery southern drawl he perfected by studying old recordings of the region. Michael Biehn stars as Johnny Ringo, the educated gunslinger with a death wish and a sinister streak. Coming off earlier success with The Terminator, he later reunited with James Cameron in The Abyss. During filming, Biehn reportedly trained extensively with real gunslingers to perfect Ringo's flashy pistol spins. Powers Booth stars as Curly Bill, the trigger-happy leader of the Cowboys gang. Booth had a reputation for intensity with his chilling turn in Southern comfort. He'd later go full grit and cowboy again in the show Deadwood. On the Tombstone set, Booth reportedly kept the cast entertained between takes with deadpan jokes delivered in that same gravelly voice that made his villain so memorable.
What the hell?
What the hell is up with this full theater troupe that drops in complete with fire breathers and Shakespeare? Jason Priestley's character is absolutely smitten with the lead actor Mr. Fabian and follows him around in a love-struck haze. Nobody ever comments on it, and it never goes anywhere. Anyway, back to the review. Tombstone isn't your average Western. It's a gun-blazing, quote-slinging, mustache-heavy opera of vengeance. Technically, Cosmatos is credited as director, but word is Kurt Russell quietly took the reins and kept this wild production on track. The cast is stacked. You've got Sam Elliott, grumbling wisdom, Bill Paxton's nervy and loyal, and Dana Delaney drifting through a romantic subplot that never quite lands. And it's a murderer's row of character actors stealing scenes left and right. Honestly though, the real MVP is whoever kept those mustaches looking majestic in every frame. The movie looks great, sounds tough, and delivers its own pulpy myth of the Old West. It's mostly factual, but there's some outright fabrication to it. It beat rival movie Wyatt Earp to the punch, both at the box office and in building a legit cult following. The set reportedly was a mess behind the scenes, but somehow it all came together. The storytelling sharp, giving the cast the tools to shine. What started as a chaotic Western became an icon. Tombstone is part of the legend now. My enjoyment rating for this boot-stomping showdown is a solid A.
You know Daisy.
You know Daisy at all.
In the dead of night, a pair of drifters desecrate ancient burial grounds. But what they've uncovered wasn't treasure, it was a warning. When the horror follows them back to a sleepy frontier town, a local woman is taken, and the tracks lead into no man's land. Now 4 unlikely men, a sheriff, an old gunslinger, a cowboy, and a crippled husband, ride out into the desert to face something beyond their understanding.
You know who did this?
You don't have a name.
How many of them do you think there are?
It won't matter. You have no chance against any number of them.
Their journey will test more than courage. It'll test what's human and what's not.
We go into hostile territory, weak and foggy with exhaustion. We won't rescue anybody.
This is the Wild West at its most savage. Bone Tomahawk. Some trails should stay untracked. S. Craig Zahler was a published crime and sci-fi author and even a heavy metal drummer before directing. He made his directing debut with Bone Tomahawk, then followed it with Brawl and Cell Block 9, establishing his brutal, slow-burning storytelling. Surprisingly, before all that, he had co-wrote a puppet movie for the Jim Henson Company. Kurt Russell stars as Sheriff Franklin Hunt, a steady, no-nonsense lawman who leads the rescue mission with quiet grit. By 2015, Russell was already an icon thanks to early hits like The Thing, a sci-fi horror film, and later in his career he'd pop up in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, a superhero blockbuster. That glorious mustache in Bone Tomahawk? It's all his. No fake hair needed. Patrick Wilson stars as Arthur O'Dowell, a determined husband pushing through injury to find his kidnapped wife. Early in his career, Wilson stood out in Hard Candy, a tense psychological thriller, and he later became a horror mainstay with the Conjuring series. During filming, Wilson reportedly avoided pain meds between takes to stay in character as the wounded cowboy. Matthew Fox stars as John Broder, a refined but ruthless gunslinger with a murky past. He rose to fame as Jack on Lost, a groundbreaking television show, and Bone Tomahawk marked a rare big screen turn before stepping back from acting. Fox trained extensively with firearms for the role, wanting Broder's cold precision to feel second nature. Richard Jenkins stars as Chicory, the loyal and slightly scatterbrained deputy who brings unexpected heart to the grim journey. Jenkins built a reputation as a reliable character actor with roles in films like Flirting with Disaster. He'd go on to win acclaim for The Shape of Water, a fantasy movie. He improvised many of Chicory's oddball lines, adding depth to what was originally a more minor character on the page.
What the hell?
What the hell is up with these savage Indians and their throat whistle? It's like their version of a walkie-talkie, except it's jammed into their windpipe, kind of like a pain flute. Anyways, back to the review. Bone Tomahawk is the kind of movie that creeps up slow, then hits you in the face with a bone tomahawk. It's a western on the surface, but underneath, it's a brutal survival horror flick with some of the most gruesome kills you'll ever see outside of a splatter film. Sid Haig and David Arquette pop up early as a couple of grave-robbing lowlifes, and honestly, they feel like they wandered in from a completely different movie. Here's David Arquette with some thoughts on the movie.
Met with the director, and he had a really clear vision on these characters and the sort of the indigenous characters that had evolved into these kind of creatures. It was really an intense movie, and I got to work with Kurt Russell again, who I hadn't worked with since 3,000 Miles to Graceland. And we did this one scene where he shoots me in the bar. And I did my own stunt for that. I kind of do this really quick flip twist. Part of it's just to give the momentum of like that it looked like the shot had kind of twisted me, but also allowed me to land properly, so I could do a nice flip twist or like kind of twist turn and have my hands to help me. So I remember that. I also remember I really wish they would have killed my character on camera. I felt a little gypped by that.
The villains are not your standard outlaws or war-painted cliches. These things are mutant and savage in a way that almost makes the white settlers' fears feel justified, which is part of the uncomfortable genius. There's one death scene that's so jaw-droppingly violent, and believe me, you'll know it when you see it. And yet, it's funny, weirdly funny. The dialogue's full of frontier politeness and deadpan wit. You don't expect to laugh this much in a cannibal horror western, but here we are. For something made on a tight budget, it looks incredible. The frontier setting feels lived in, the photography is beautiful, and the makeup and effects are jaw-dropping, especially when the bodies start dropping. You'll really feel the bond between the men before it all goes to hell. And when it does, boy, it doesn't hold back. It's a genre twist you won't forget. My enjoyment rating for this grimy, genre-bending rescue thriller is a well-deserved A-. What are you saying? I'm your dingleberry?
Huckleberry.
I'm your crunchberry?
Huckleberry.
Never mind. See you next time, guys.